In the history of chess, numerous battles have captured the imagination of enthusiasts worldwide. One remarkable encounter took place during the 2016 US Chess Championship Blitz event, where the legendary Garry Kasparov made a highly anticipated return to face off against the formidable 24-year-old young talent Fabiano Caruana. This clash of titans created a huge anticipation and interest among chess enthusiasts. Before his retirement in 2005, Garry Kasparov ruled as the undisputed world champion for a record-breaking 15 years. His extraordinary combination of strategic brilliance and aggressive gameplay made him a dominant force, solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest chess players in history. Kasparov's undisputed success and unparalleled experience gave him an aura of invincibility, making his comeback an extraordinary event within the chess community. On the other side of the board stood Fabiano Caruana, a young talent at the age of 24, who had emerged as a rising star in the chess world. Caruana possessed an awe-inspiring depth of understanding, strategic versatility, and a strong ability to calculate complicated positions with remarkable precision. The battle between Kasparov and Caruana represented a captivating clash of generations, pitting youth against experience. It symbolized the struggle between the established master, armed with decades of wisdom and triumphs, and the ambitious young challenger, hungry for recognition and eager to make a mark in the world of chess. The game began with Caruana opting for the Reti opening, playing knight to f3, and Kasparov replying with knight to f6. Both players followed with identical moves, developing their g-pawn, bishop, and eventually castling kingside. With a few more pawn moves from both sides, Caruana developed his bishop to b2, preparing for a central break on d4. In response, Kasparov played c5 to avoid Caruana's pawn push to d4. At this critical juncture, Caruana had two choices. He could either play pawn to e4, later followed by knight to c3 and d5, to strengthen his control over the d5 square. However, this would also give Kasparov the opportunity to play his knight to d4 and gain a solid hold on the center too. Alternatively, Caruana could go for pawn to e3, preparing for pawn to d4. He chose the latter, playing pawn to e3. Kasparov countered with knight to c6, further increasing his control over the d4 square. Both players continued to develop their knight and bishop respectively. When Kasparov played bishop to f5, he threatened to play bishop to d3, which would keep Caruana's pawn on d2 for the time being, leading to a passive position. To avoid this, Caruana played pawn to d4, and Kasparov responded with his pawn to e4, attacking Caruana's knight. Caruana took the knight back to e1 and repositioned it to c2 after Kasparov played rook to e8, providing additional support to his e4 pawn. Thus far, both players have developed their pieces, with the former world champion appearing to have the edge in terms of position. Kasparov's pieces were actively placed, granting him a spatial advantage over the 24-year-old Grand Master from the United States. In the next couple of moves, Kasparov launched a kingside attack with pawn moves h5 and h4. Caruana should have played pawn to h3 and then pawn to g4 to hold the kingside attack. However, after thinking for a long time, Caruana aimed to open the queenside with the bishop to a3 move, preparing for a b4 move and targeting the c5 pawn. Kasparov calmly defended the c5 pawn with his pawn to b6. Now the game has reached a crucial point, where Kasparov seems to be clearly better in this position with his upcoming attack on the kingside, while Caruana is looking for a breakthrough on the queenside to activate his pieces and gain some play. It is going to be a battle between youth and retired experience from here on, with both players trying hard to gain a clear advantage on either side of the board. Kasparov further executed his plan by playing bishop to g4, attacking the white rook, and then moving his queen to d7, setting the stage for a potential queen to f5 maneuver to closely target the white king with the ideas of bishop to h3 or f3. Both players now have around 2 minutes left, setting the stage for an exciting finish. Desperate to create counterplay, Caruana played pawn to b4, attempting to generate activity on the queenside and distract black, while Kasparov continued his plan with queen to f5. Caruana then played his bishop to b2, sacrificing his b4 pawn in the hope of distracting the former world champion from his kingside attack. But Kasparov continued his attack by bringing his a8 rook into the game. After one more move, Kasparov gained a crucial move with the bishop to f3, aiming to trade the only piece that was effectively guarding the white king. Caruana responded with pawn to d5, attacking Kasparov's knight. Kasparov advanced his knight to e5, bringing it closer to the king. Sensing the potential danger posed by the e5 knight to his kingside, Caruana traded the e5 knight for his bishop and played his knight to e1, adding an additional piece to the kingside defense, supporting the g2 bishop, and gaining control over the f3 square. Now it looks like the 24-year-old Grandmaster has defended the position. This is where Garry Kasparov brings all his experience over the years to continue with a strong attack. Kasparov initiated a pawn trade on g3, and Caruana had two options, taking with the h-pawn or the f-pawn. Choosing the latter, Caruana captured the g3 pawn with his f-pawn, enabling his queen on d2 to reach f2, and providing strong defensive resources for his weak king. Kasparov brought his bishop into play by moving it to h6, while Caruana activated his a1 rook with moves to b1 and b3. In addition to the bishop, Kasparov planned to bring his d8 rook into the attack by maneuvering it to h8. However, Kasparov couldn't immediately move his rook to h8, as the white knight on b5 would capture the unsupported d6 pawn and attack the queen on f5, stopping the attacking progress. Now, to continue his attacking plan, Kasparov quickly finds a plan in time pressure and plays queen to h5, setting up his knight to g4 to attack the h2 pawn. Caruana avoids this plan by playing pawn to h3. Meanwhile, Kasparov reroutes his knight to h7, preparing for a knight to g5 move to attack the f3 and h3 squares. With an upcoming strong attack, Caruana plays pawn to g4, attacking the queen. Without hesitation, the former world champion sacrifices his bishop for the g4 pawn. After Kasparov captures the g4 pawn with his queen, Caruana offers a queen trade by playing queen to d1. Kasparov declines the offer and plays his queen to g3, while Caruana plays his queen to e2, providing additional support to his king. Meanwhile, Kasparov maneuvers his knight to g5, and Caruana makes a poor move by moving his king to h1, providing an opportunity for the former world champion to play rook to h8, setting up a potential discovered attack by moving the h6 bishop and bringing the rook into the game. With limited options, Caruana plays knight to d6, and Kasparov plays king to g8, allowing his bishop to deliver a deadly discovered check to the white king. After the bishop moves to g8, Caruana plays king to g1, and Kasparov delivers a knight to h3 check. When the white king moves to f1, Kasparov, who has his rook on e5, intended to move it to f5 for the final blow. However, the knight on d6 controls the f5 square. Consequently, Kasparov first captures the d6 knight and then plays rook to f5 check. So far, the former world champion has ruthlessly used all his pieces to attack the helpless white king. What makes his precise use of pieces effectively special is the way the experienced Kasparov is able to think and play as quickly as a young and dynamic Caruana. Caruana responds with knight to f3, blocking the check. In turn, Kasparov captures the f3 knight with his f5 rook, leaving Caruana no choice but to resign. If Caruana had captured the f3 rook with his bishop, he would have been checkmated on g1 with Kasparov playing queen to g1. And if he had taken the f3 rook with his queen, he would have lost his queen and ultimately the game in just a few moves. The battle between Kasparov and Caruana showcased the brilliance of the former world champion's strategic calculations and the resilience of the young challenger. It was a remarkable clash that further cemented Kasparov's legacy. In this exciting encounter, Kasparov's tactical brilliance and relentless attacking style prevailed over Caruana's valiant defense. Kasparov's victory against a formidable young talent like Caruana served as a reminder of his unparalleled legacy and reinforced his status as one of the greatest chess players in history.